This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com for my weekly review of the points I find interesting in Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter. And also, they had the AEW pay-per-view tonight, the big surprise from WWE that many were speculating would be Batista was not Batista. It was the 47-year-old Christian. We do remember when AEW first started, they said they were going to go back to the classic wrestling, the old school wrestling, and also develop their own stars. Now, the biggest stars they have are the Big Show, Sting, and Chris Jericho and Christian, I guess, that most people would know from the company. They also have Shaq, the basketball player. Someone didn't like the show. I didn't see it. To be honest, I did an interview with Reno Riggins tonight, former WWF and WCW enhancement talent. That was pretty interesting. As someone says, underwhelmingly huge announcement. By the way, I also did an interview with Rene Dupree on the weekend that he was a little bit intoxicated for. And his co-host, so to speak, I guess that was a sample of a podcast he wants to do on my channel where him and his co-host get plastered. But his co-host didn't like Batista. I just want to state for the record, I do like Batista. And I actually practiced with him once before a wrestling event in Calgary. There was not just me, some other extras were there practicing with him too. I believe Wavell Star and Ruffy Silverstein as well. But I liked him then, and I liked him every interaction I had with him. And I think he's a cool guy. So, again, some people always like hold what other people say against me. But I don't always agree with what my guests have to say, to be honest with you. Dennis says Ethan Page was a surprise. I never thought much of him, to be honest. Never thought much of him. And Impact in general, I don't really like much of the talent in Impact, other than they do have some good females. Obviously, Jazz is there, so their female division isn't bad, but I haven't watched a single episode from that for years because the highlights I see just turn me right off. Let me get into the WWE news. The big news of the week in the Observer was supposedly they don't want any more thigh slapping. Thanks for the $1 tip, Manny. They don't want any more thigh slapping, which you see at a nauseating level these days. So good call by WWE. When Chris Adams used to do it, and even when Shawn Michaels started to do it with their super kicks, there wasn't an internet, and it wasn't done in every single match, and all the fans didn't know the trick that you slap your thigh when you throw the kick. So everybody knows now. So it's just like that stupid stomp punch. Everybody knows. It's dumb. That's why I like that SWE Fury has the rule no punching, because punches in wrestling are phony for the most part. Nobody can take that many punches and just keep doing what they're doing. So it's better to not have punches and encourage real strikes to connect, in my opinion. Bobby Lashley won the WWE title at 44 from The Miz, who had an extremely short reign. I like Bobby Lashley a lot. Regarding the Thunderdome, it's going to be in St. Petersburg until just before WrestleMania. Then apparently they're going to move somewhere near Tampa. Unfortunately, doesn't appear like they're going to get away from this Thunderdome concept anytime soon, which is lame. The Thunderdome is lame, as Wade Wilson says. Mike Stell says, great job interviewing pro wrestlers. I'm the best. Thank you. I'm going to continue with the news, but soon there's going to be a lot more female fighters on this channel. with an agreement I have, as I am a big fan of female fighters. I would rather watch female wrestling or fighting than male fighting. That's just the way that I am. AEW, with their big show this week with Shaquille O'Neal, did a 0.33 rating, beating NXT's 0.2 rating. It appears NXT is going to be moving to Tuesday night soon. Impact did a 0.03 rating. Raw did a 0.58. SmackDown did a 0.54. Jim Crockett passed away due to liver and kidney failures. Some people commented when I made the initial report on his passing that I didn't seem that sad by it. He was 76 years old. I'm from Canada. He was a promoter from the Carolinas. I'm sorry that he passed, but I've had zero interactions with him in my life. And I feel bad for his family, but I don't know him personally, so I'm not going to be losing any sleep over his death. Sorry about that. Weird story that took place this week. Joey Ryan was going to run a show March 20th in Knoxville at the Jackson Terminal, and he was going to call it Women for Wrestling Charity. But apparently, according to reports, many of the people that he booked were unaware that it was actually his event that was being put on. And I guess the giveaway was he was on the actual poster. So there was such a backlash when it came out that this was actually a Joey Ryan event that the whole thing got canceled. And it was a big mess. So apparently 3 to 4 of the lawsuits Joey Ryan has filed against some of his 17 or so accusers have been dismissed. The Knight family, which is Paige's family, have a GoFundMe to raise money, saying their promotion has no income because they can't run shows during the lockdown and their school can't afford to reopen. Yeah, this has been bad for the wrestling business. Thank God that I have the Hannibal TV and you great fans that help support me. And Great North Wrestling, my company that I'm involved with, I'm one of the directors of, is going to be going back to operations whenever we're allowed to in Canada. Speaking of the UK, Pixelated Pigeon just tipped me £5, I believe. And he says, big fan of my wrestling content and UFO content. Thank you. I got to get some more UFO content going. Definitely got to get some more UFO content going. Finish off the news here. UFC news. Texas is fully reopening March 10th, by the way. Anyone that didn't know this. And Dana White has said he wants to run Houston in the next 2 to 3 weeks before a sellout crowd. George Masvidal says he's going to be fighting Kamaru Usman for the welterweight title in September, but Usman's manager is denying this. Conor McGregor might be losing majority interest in his whiskey company, and Junior Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem were both let go from the UFC this week. I am going to be doing some MMA interviews with at least one UFC Dallas fighter soon, by the way. So who knows? Maybe I'll mix it up a bit when I'm visiting the training camp. Trevor Cease's AEW is a TNA reboot. Herb Simmons, the promoter from St. Louis, says SWE Fury is doing the most old school wrestling content today. I agree, and I'm happy to be part of SWE Fury. I'm helping out with the interviews there. I do love Texas, and I'm really enjoying it here. And the next SWE Fury event, speaking of SWE Fury, will be taking place March 20th in Canton, Texas. Gangrel's going to be there. Mark Henry, Molina. Will Molina be helping the Blood Hunter out? I don't know. Teddy Long, Charlie Haas, Christy James, Davey Boy Smith Jr., and the Blood Hunter, among others. So it should be a pretty good event in Canton. They are going to crown, for the first time in SWE, a Texas champion in Canton. Maybe we'll know more this Tuesday at 9 p.m. when I do the Inside SWE Fury podcast with James Beard. If it's going to be a battle royal, if it's going to be a tournament, how they are going to decide who the Texas champion is going to be March 20th in Canton. That's going to be very interesting. Manny says Christian Cage and the worst botch ever from the show. Chris Norman says turn off AEW, turn on SWE Fury. By the way, Tim Storm has quit SWE Fury. Mark says he's not that surprised about Christian. WWE will probably regret it. You owe me the barbecue. Yes, this young gentleman is going to take me out for dinner. And I don't think WWE is going to regret losing Christian. I always personally thought Christian was overrated. And an almost 50-year-old Christian, I don't know. No offense, he has worked for Great North Wrestling, but he's comedic, but he's not going to be a difference maker. Victor, I'm liking Texas more and more, but I had more friends in Arizona. I'm making more friends here, but I'm a little bit lonely, I have to say, here in Texas. But I'm focusing all my time on training and getting into shape. So somebody says that ending was a great way to ruin the match, talking about AEW. I don't even know what happened in it. I really could care less about AEW. Wade says Edge was way cooler than Christian. Taylor says Christian was the Marty Jannetty of the Edge. And Christian, while Marty Jannetty without the 5,000 girls that Marty Jannetty's has had sex with over the years. Because I don't think Christian's in the 5,000 numbers that Marty is. War Dog is sticking up for AEW, saying the ending was just for comedy purposes. I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, I don't care. Apparently it was an embarrassing ending. Okay, maybe I'll have to look this up. But yeah, I'm not a fan of comedy wrestling or bad comedy wrestling. I like that SWE Fury is going back to the old school. That's why I'm supporting it. That's why I'm out here covering it. So Canton, March 20th. If you guys live in Texas, you should be there. It's going to be very interesting to see who's going to be the Texas champion. Finally, a real Texas champion to represent the state of Texas and the Texas style of wrestling. Who is going to be in the competition? We're going to find out. I'm curious to find out who it's going to be.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month